My name wasn't on the plaque. They'd mounted it crooked, like a slapdash gravestone, right outside the glass conference room I wasn't invited into. Team of the Year, Project Echo. Beneath it, 6 names gleamed in brushed aluminum. I'd written 72% of the code. They left me off like gum scraped from a shoe. I stared at that plaque until my coffee went cold and my fingers stopped shaking. You know what's worse than being erased? Being erased on purpose. I knew something was off weeks earlier. The office Alexa suddenly stopped responding to my voice but chirped right away for Brad, like he was royalty. When I got locked out of the GitHub repo, Kevin from Q&A said, "Weird, must be a sync issue," while minimizing a Slack thread with my initials tagged, never reopening it. I started eating lunch in my car, not out of drama, but out of strategy. I needed space to think because something was rotten. I didn't just forget my raise. The strategy meeting at Soho House without me? Rotten. I checked the company credit card ledger I wasn't supposed to have access to anymore. Bless my desktop cache, I saw 3 Uber charges from Chris in legal to a jazz bar downtown, the same bar where I'd found our CTO slow dancing with that patent lawyer in 2019, back when I still believed loyalty was rewarded. The playlist I'd built, the one that broke their user retention curve, was now labeled Echoloop V2 Internal Alpha. Internal, my ass. It was already live in the app. The micro-royalty tracker still showed a ghost author, me. When I asked Sarah from legal, she squinted like I'd handed her a radioactive ham sandwich. "That's above my pay grade," she said. "You should talk to Carl." Carl, the same man who'd once told me to smile more in client calls because it softens your edges. I smiled, all right. I smiled while I printed everything. Commit logs, IP timestamps, emails with the subject line change author tag before launch. I highlighted, underlined, and annotated like a woman unhinged, or maybe just a woman who refused to go down quietly. The best part? I hadn't signed the last version of my contract. They'd sent it to my old email, the one with the typo in it. No signature, no NDA, definitely no clause about intellectual property rights transfer. They forgot the most dangerous thing in tech, the quiet woman with admin privileges. So, I called Maya, not just a lawyer, but the kind of litigator whose Yelp reviews mentioned the word vengeance. She took one look at my folder, actual paper, not digital, and said, "We're not suing them, we're haunting them." I didn't know exactly what that meant yet, but on Monday morning she hand-delivered a subpoena so thick it made the front desk guy whistle. "Who's that for?" he asked. I said, "Everyone who thought Lost in Legal was the same as gone." Then I walked out before the plaque even finished falling off the wall. I didn't go to the office that Monday. I went to the art gallery across the street, bought a single ticket, and sat in front of a painting I didn't understand for 2 hours while I watched the storm brew through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our glass fortress. By 9:13 a.m., I had my first text, "Brad, can we chat?" At 9:14, a second one, HR Carla, "Hey, can we clarify something re your employment status?" By 9:17, Maya texted a screenshot of their internal reply all panic, accidentally CC'd to her firm instead of their outside counsel. Subject line, "Wait, we do owe her royalties." Turns out, the word subpoena carries more weight than any annual review. They buried my name in the appendix of the legal doc bundle, footnote 8.3. It was the digital equivalent of writing someone's name in lemon juice and praying no one lights a match. But I was the match. Carl finally called at 10:02, surprised by the escalation. "Funny," I said. "I was surprised when you removed me from the Echo credits and claimed the algorithm was crowdsourced." He cleared his throat. "Let's not get emotional." "Oh, I'm not emotional, Carl," I replied. "I'm invoiceable." Then I hung up and put my phone on airplane mode because by then I wasn't playing defense. I was watching the walls buckle. At 10:26, someone leaked the subpoena to a startup gossip blog. By 10:40, their stock, already paper thin, started dipping like it had vertigo. But the best part? That didn't even come from me. It came from Steve's ex-wife. Apparently, she'd been waiting for the right moment to burn him. Maya, bless her Machiavellian instincts, had somehow looped her into the witness list. Her affidavit included screenshots of Steve bragging over iMessage. "We tweaked her code just enough. She won't even notice." I noticed, Steve. I noticed everything. For once, they couldn't unhear me. They couldn't mute me, couldn't rename the doc, couldn't forward the problem into oblivion with thanks, looping Brad in. By noon, my LinkedIn had more cold messages than a Tinder profile with cleavage and a CS degree. Tech journalists wanted quotes. Former coworkers sent cryptic texts like, Holy, you did it, and remind me never to piss you off. But the one that hit hardest came at 12:52 from Ravi, our intern back in 2020. Quiet, brilliant, shafted in his exit interview by Carl and ghosted like he never existed. His message just said, "Watching them sweat is better than therapy. You're a goddamn legend." I sat in my parked car outside the gallery, hands shaking, still holding the half-smashed bagel I hadn't touched since Friday. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't feel invisible. I felt nuclear. But I wasn't done. I thought royalties were the end game, but I hadn't even played my real card yet, the patent. The real one, filed under a pseudonym just before they cut my access. The one that, if validated, would make their entire product legally radioactive. They'd already sold it to a defense contractor. The contract hit the news before I could even sip my celebratory gas station espresso. Ecoloop secures $8.2 million deal with Orbis Tech Defense. The CEO grinned like a televangelist in the press photo, his hand on Steve's back like he'd just blessed him into sainthood. They used buzzwords like integrated AI rhythm analysis and predictive sonic profiling. Sounded impressive, sounded expensive, sounded like my code dressed up in war paint. Only one problem, the core engine, the one predicting movement patterns based on micro-sound variations in user behavior. Yeah, that was mine, filed 6 months ago under the name A&E Harper, a nod to my late grandmother, who taught me to program on a second-hand ThinkPad in her trailer between Jeopardy reruns and Sunday church. They'd copied it byte for byte. A full match. Even the error logs had my initials buried in them like fossil records, but they didn't know that yet. They were too busy uncorking champagne in their exposed brick boardroom, pretending they weren't standing on a landmine. I hadn't filed that patent alone. I'd filed it with Ravi. Remember Ravi? Intern, vanished, ghosted. Turns out, he didn't vanish. He just got tired of being stepped on and quietly climbed his way to lead data architect at a competitor, so new they didn't even have branded mugs yet. Their startup needed a kill switch. I sent him the match logs. He replied with a skull emoji and a thumbs up. Meanwhile, Maya looped in a patent lawyer named Curtis, who looked like a tax auditor but moved like a chess grandmaster. Curtis drafted a cease and desist so cold it could have cracked bone marrow, addressed directly to Orbis Tech, not Ecoloop. That's when the second storm started. I didn't need to leak anything this time. Orbis's internal team caught wind of the dispute and froze the funds, froze the integration, froze the entire Ecoloop rollout like a caveman in a glacier. Suddenly, Brad's name was off the plaque. Suddenly, I got a call from the actual CEO, not Carl, not HR, the CEO. "Let's talk this through," he said, using the tone men reserve for diffusing bombs they didn't build. I let him talk for 11 minutes and 42 seconds. "You still think this is about a raise?" I said. "Your team edited me out like a bad lyric. Now I'm the chorus. He tried legalese, charm, even guilt. We believed in you." I reminded him, belief without attribution is just theft in a tuxedo. I hung up. That was Thursday. By Friday, Maya had filed the injunction. By Monday, their homepage redirected to a press statement. Inside the boardroom, behind those glass walls they thought made them untouchable, legal had gone missing. And I wasn't done yet. It was the cleaning lady who told me, not my lawyer, not the press, not even Ravi. It was Marta who used to bring me peppermint tea on bad days and whispered gossip like confessions in a cathedral. She texted me from a burner phone she used to avoid the corporate device. They cleared out legal's entire floor last night. No warning. Files gone. Sarah crying. Carl left with a box, like a literal box. I stared at the screen, rereading Carl left with a box like it was poetry. The man who once mocked me for color-coding Jira tickets just got yeeted out of the company like expired yogurt. I wanted to feel triumphant. Instead, I felt nothing, which is how I knew I still wasn't finished. Because here's what they didn't know. They weren't the only ones laundering code through third parties. I'd embedded a tracer function inside my own algorithm. Something harmless, elegant, invisible. It only activated when the system ran continuously for 72 hours without a reset. And guess what? Ecoloop had just demoed to Orbis Tech, a 96-hour uninterrupted trial. So, at precisely 3:12 a.m. on Saturday morning, while the world slept and stockbrokers snored into their CPAP machines, the tracer triggered. It didn't destroy anything. That would have been too kind. "No," it whispered, a line of code that crawled up the logs like a ghost, developed by A&E Harper. Unauthorized use constitutes IP violation under 18 U.S. Code Section 18-32. Then it sent a duplicate log to Orbis Tech's compliance server. By dawn, the defense boys were holding emergency meetings with faces like they'd chewed broken glass. They didn't care about attribution, royalties, or fairness. They cared about liability. My code was now a liability wrapped in a subpoena burrito drizzled with federal consequences. Ravi called me at 7:05 a.m. He didn't say hello. He just whispered, "You lit a fuse inside a Pentagon conference room." I smiled. Did they blink? They called outside counsel before their second coffee. I went quiet because for the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't trying to prove anything. I wasn't fighting to be seen, credited, or respected. I had become the problem, the kind of problem that turns promotions into postmortems. And yet, Echoloop still hadn't called again. No apology, no offer, just silence thick enough to chew until 3:47 p.m. That's when Steve called, not from his office line, not from his work cell, but from a blocked number, like I wouldn't recognize his breathy little sigh before he spoke. "Never meant for it to go this far," he said. I pictured his dumb Patagonia vest and the way he once pronounced algorithm like it rhymed with enthusiasm. "You stole from me, Steve," I said calmly. "I believed in you," he countered. "Yeah, then you should have believed I'd bury you too." He started to cry. I hung up. That night I celebrated with a grilled cheese, a glass of Pinot, and a backup plan already in motion, because while everyone was looking at the royalties, they still hadn't noticed the AI prototype in their beta wasn't mine. I'd swapped it out weeks ago, and the one they launched live? It had a leak. The leak wasn't dramatic. No blinking red light, no sirens, no ominous access denied message in bold courier font. Just numbers, a slow drip of data rerouted every 6 hours to a secure offshore server labeled Harper Archive V3. I wasn't stealing, I was reclaiming. Every keystroke that Echoloop monetized without my consent, every behavior map tied to my algorithm. They'd piped it through my proxy AI, polished it, and served it up to Orbis Tech like it was clean tech. It wasn't. It was radioactive. I'd written the leak as a kind of digital insurance, a breadcrumb trail in case things went dark. And now, it was a noose. At 9:12 a.m. on Tuesday, Orbis Tech's lead engineer, a woman named Drea with a reputation for clawing through code like a forensic surgeon, pinged Maya. Her email subject line read, "Who the hell is A.E. Harper?" Maya forwarded it to me with one word, showtime. They didn't just want royalties now. They wanted indemnity, protection. They wanted me to sign a retroactive waiver saying I'd built the system on their behalf, which legally would make me the originator but not the owner. Cute. I told Maya to reply with a 13-word statement. All offers must include damages, licensing, and a public correction of authorship. 3 hours later, Echoloop's new CTO, some guy I'd never met with hair like a J.Crew mannequin, asked to hop on a quick Zoom to align goals. I aligned all right. I aligned a screen share of their source code with mine, highlighting every matching line. Then I paused. "See this?" I said, clicking into a module labeled User Echo Predict V1.3. "That's my tracer. That's also a federal violation." He swallowed. I could hear it over the mic. "I just joined the company," he stammered. "I wasn't aware. You are now." "They offered me $45,000. I laughed. "They offered $120,000. I muted the call and peeled an orange. They tried $500,000, but without the public statement. I didn't even reply. I forwarded the offer to Maya with a subject line, "Spare change from thieves." By Thursday, the board started bleeding. 2 resignations, 1 suspension. Carl was now on leave. Sarah from legal ghosted LinkedIn. The Echoloop homepage started redirecting users to a statement clarifying authorship errors while trying not to admit liability. But they still hadn't issued my name, just vague corporate speak about early development team contributors. I wanted blood, not a footnote. So I called Drea at Orbis Tech directly. No lawyers, no filter. "I can give you a clean version of the tech," I said. "No tracer, no ghosts, built from scratch, no risk. But I want 2 things." She waited. 1, full authorship acknowledgement, public, name in lights. "And 2?" she asked. I leaned back, watching the rain slide down my window. An advisory role, 6 figures, remote, no middleman, and I never have to talk to anyone named Steve again. She exhaled, long and slow. "You're not playing around, are you?" "I've been played," I said. "Now I write the rules." Before the call ended, she gave me what Echoloop never did, my name, out loud, followed by, "We'll be in touch, Miss Harper." And just like that, the woman they tried to erase became the one they all needed. But I wasn't finished. There was still one document left to leak, and it had Steve's signature all over it. The document was called Project Horizon, buried in an archived dev folder, misnamed, mislabeled, password protected, but not smartly. Steve had used his dog's birthday again, which I cracked in 7 minutes using his own Instagram feed and a little rage-fueled deduction. It wasn't just a proposal, it was a blueprint, not for an app, not for a feature, but for a surveillance add-on. Something my code wasn't built for, something it wasn't meant to do. Horizon was designed to predict user behavior based on audio cues, GPS trends, and even passive voice analysis during calls, flagging emotional volatility, mapping stress patterns, selling it to enterprise partners like insurance companies and military contractors. It had my algorithm at the center, repurposed, warped, twisted into something invasive. Steve had signed the bottom of the doc, approved for exploratory integration. Harper's Model V2.1, my name again without permission. They hadn't just stolen my work, they'd mutated it. I sent the doc to Maya. Her reply was one line, time to go nuclear. Within 48 hours, it was routed to 3 different watchdog groups and a journalist at Wired who owed Maya a favor after she helped him dodge a defamation suit in 2018. Friday morning, I woke to a headline, "Startup used developer's code to build emotion surveillance tool without consent." The article dropped names, Steve's, Carl's, even Sarah from legal. But most importantly, it dropped mine, front and center. A.E. Harper, independent developer, credited architect of the Echoloop algorithm, unwilling participant in Project Horizon. The fallout hit like a flashbang. By noon, Echoloop's investors were clawing back funds. Orbistech froze all future collaboration pending internal review. The CTO resigned mid-meeting and posted a Notes app apology on Twitter. Steve went offline. His socials vanished, his company bio yanked. Someone on Reddit said they spotted him in an airport lounge, crying into a can of LaCroix. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel good either. I just felt done. Until Maya called with one final update, they want to settle. Who, I asked. Echoloop. Full royalties, public apology, a non-disclosure if you want it, plus equity. I paused. They're scared, she added. They should be, I said. But part of me wanted more than money, more than credit. I wanted ruin, not for everyone, just for the ones who looked me in the eye and said, "We're a family here," while quietly deleting my name from every document like it was a smudge. So, I gave Maya a condition. I'll settle, but I want the apology printed, not digital. Full page, Tech Times. She was quiet for a beat, then laughed. I've had stranger demands. And, Maya, I said, I want them to spell my name right. Every letter. The leak had done its job, but the real blow was still coming because there was one final meeting I hadn't declined yet, a video call request from Steve's wife, Rachel. The invite came through at 3:03 a.m. Subject, "Can we speak?" No body text, no threats, no emojis, just the quiet death rattle of a marriage on fire. I didn't answer at first. I watched the cursor blink over her name like it owed me an explanation. I didn't owe her anything, but curiosity is a ruthless drug. So, I joined the call. Her video clicked on before mine did. She looked exactly how I remembered, too put together to be from tech, but too sharp not to smell the rot. Rachel always knew more than she said, which, ironically, made her the only one in that whole building who ever scared me. She didn't smile. "Did you know?" she said calmly. "Steve put our mortgage against his stock options, the ones tied to Echoloop's product launch." She didn't blink. Did he know he was about to sign a surveillance weapon into a commercial contract? Her lip twitched, not a smile, more like the ghost of something mean. "Do you still have access to his inbox, to his wine cellar?" Silence. Then she pulled something up and held it to the webcam, a printed email, full header, timestamps, subject, "She'll never find out." We just reroute her logic path and scrub the tags. Steve's name, Carl CC'd, the recipient, Sarah from legal, of course. Rachel leaned closer. "They wrote this in my house. Over Merlot I paid for using my Wi-Fi." I exhaled. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I'm done covering for him," she said, "and I want to make sure he's done, too." I narrowed my eyes. "What do you want?" She smiled now, slow and razor-edged. "Help me file a separate IP claim. I funded part of that project through our joint account. I can prove it. Let's make the final cut." That's when I saw it, the same cold, quiet fury I'd felt for months, only now it wore pearls. "I want you to ruin him properly," she said, "the way women ruin things, completely and with receipts." I didn't say yes. I just forwarded her Maya's contact info and wrote, "Don't call it revenge, call it reconciliation." That afternoon, Echoloop's board went into full lockdown. The rumor mill hit boiling point, screenshots leaked. Reddit threads exploded. One dev posted that their Slack workspace had been nuked mid-meeting. Another said Steve's parking spot was now available for visitors. I went dark again, just long enough for the silence to build tension. Then finally I emailed Echoloop directly, subject line, final offer. Clocks ticking, attached were the original royalty agreement, the buried tracer code log, the Project Horizon document, and Rachel's signed affidavit confirming misuse of marital assets in the development of their core IP. My closing sentence: next time you build a system to listen to people, make sure you listen to the ones you steal from first. I hit send and waited. The last domino was wobbling, and it was going to fall on all of them. They caved by Monday, not with grace, not with dignity, but with compliance. The kind of corporate groveling you only get when someone's share price is on life support and their legal team's been reduced to 3 interns and a stapler. Full royalties, backdated with interest. Public apology, printed just like I asked, on page 3 of Tech Times, beneath a full-color photo of me speaking at a panel they once said I wasn't polished enough to represent them on. They spelled my name right, Avery Elise Harper, in bold. But the real masterpiece? A footnote buried in their updated terms of use, Harper Protocol in use under licensed agreement. Unauthorized derivative use strictly prohibited. My name, a clause. Now try erasing that. Steve didn't show up for the final arbitration. His lawyer did, hollow-eyed, over-caffeinated, clutching a sweaty manila folder like it contained the last piece of his soul. Maya called it the paperwork equivalent of a surrender flag. Rachel, on the other hand, showed up early, heels clicking, hair up, a single AirPod in. She didn't say a word during the meeting, just signed where Maya told her to, then passed me a sealed envelope on her way out. Inside was a photo, Steve passed out in a hammock, a beer on his chest, a dog licking peanut butter off his open laptop. Caption in Rachel's handwriting, "This is who tried to erase you." I framed it, put it right next to my patent certificate. As for me, I didn't take the Echoloop equity, too volatile, too tainted. But I did take the advisory role at Orbis Tech with a custom contract, my own team, fully remote, no Steves allowed. Sometimes I still get emails from junior devs, young women, saying they saw the article, saying they printed it, saying they finally asked for their raise. And sometimes I get emails from people who stole from me, people who forgot I was watching. They always say the same thing, "Can we talk?" I don't reply. I just forward them to Maya and go back to building the next thing. Because I'm not a ghost anymore. I'm not a footnote. I'm the clause, and they'll never scrub me out again. You're the real stars of the corporate jungle. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, or I'll flick the switch on your old cubicle memories.